Good evening, everybody. This is Seth Engelborg, Chair of the Nantucket Conservation Commission. We're meeting today, Thursday, March 5th at 5 p.m. in a hybrid fashion with some people physically present in the Public Safety Facility Community Room at 4 Fairgrounds Road and other on Zoom. First thing that we need to do today is establish a quorum of members. Commissioners, when you hear your name, please respond in the affirmative. Mike Mazzarelli.
Here.
Archie Turcott.
Here.
Joe Pandowski.
Here.
Tim Brain.
Here.
John Schaefer.
Here.
Linda Williams.
You guys are gonna have to talk a lot louder. It's still
Okay.
bad.
And Seth works here. So we'll go through our continuances, which are the following. Under our public hearing, Section B, notice of intent waiver required. Robert F. Greenhill Revocable Trust, 16 Hoyks Hollow Road, SC 483917. Continued to March 19th. Town of Nantucket, Baxter Road Alternative Access, SC 483945. Continued to March 19th. In the public meeting, request for determination of applicability, Town of Nantucket, 59 through 83 Baxter Road. Continued till March 19th. And that is it. Commissioners, is there a motion to accept the agenda with those continuances read?
I'll make that motion.
So moved.
Thank you, Joe.
Second.
And Mike for the second. By roll call vote, Mike Mazzarelli,
Aye.
Archie Turcott,
Aye.
Joe Pandowski,
Aye.
Tim Brain,
Aye.
John Schaefer,
Aye.
Linda Williams.
Did you just call on me? I can't hear you.
Yes.
I said aye.
Seth Engelborg, aye. That carries unanimously. Okay. Announcements. The Nantucket Conservation Commission meeting is being audio and video recorded. Please do not use your personal devices to record without our consent. Anything you do with your personal device will be considered part of the open meeting law record. If you need to make a phone call or text, please do so outside. Okay. At this point, we'll move on to update on public comment questions from prior meetings, which we have none prepared at this meeting. And we'll head to public comment for items not on today's agenda. If you have a public comment, please, if you're on Zoom, raise your hand virtually. And if you're in person, approach one of the microphones. We'll be holding to the select board's established procedures for public comment, limiting comments to 3 minutes or less and not engaging in deliberation, just taking comments for future action if necessary. At this point, are there any public comments? Seeing not, we'll move on to the public hearing. And our first item is notice of intent, no waiver required, which we have one today. That is 51 WWLC at 53 Winoma Way, SC 483970. Any commissioners interested in opening this hearing? Any members of the public interested in opening this hearing? Okay, we need to ask Will if we have everything we need to close. But he went outside.
Ask for Linda if you can hear audio. Just trying to be IT and conservation agents.
Yeah, that's fine. Winoma Way, do we have everything we need to close?
Yes, we do.
Is there a motion to close?
So moved.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Joe. By roll call vote, Mike Mazzarelli,
Aye.
Archie Turcott,
Aye.
Joe Pandowski,
Aye.
Tim Brain,
Aye.
John Schaefer,
Aye.
Linda Williams,
Aye.
Seth Engelborg, aye. That carries unanimously.
My mic was off for the record. We have everything we needed to close.
Okay.
For the minutes.
Next is notice of intent waiver required. We'll begin with Harbor View LLC at 94 Hulbert Avenue, which is SC 483957, represented by David Haynes. Oh no, we will not begin with that. We're going to hold that to the end of the meeting. We're gonna move on to Mayflower Crescent LLC at 74 Monomoy Road, SC 483967, represented by Paul Santos, who was here. So people in the hall today a lot. All right. Or we'll move on to the next one too. Okay. We'll hear Town of Nantucket at 130 Tom Nevers Road, SC 483962, represented by Devin Herrick. Devin, good evening. Oh, we can't hear you. But you're not muted. I don't know if it's your headset system.
Well, we
Are you
could.
able to? Are you
Oh,
able
that's
to hear
good.
me?
Yeah, that's fine.
There we go.
Okay. I apologize. Devin Herrick from Weston Sampson Engineers. We just wanted to update one item before the commission that's different from the NOI filing, which is that we had a site walk, which Will was kind enough to attend with us. During the site walk, we made the observation that we had not left an access path for the town to be able to get to the temporary ramp for the next 2 years, which would mean they'd be mowing over the nice new plants that they've gone and put in for the next 2 years. So we have sent an updated plan sheet to the commission, just showing an access road, which will then be replanted in 2 years when the work has concluded. I'd be happy to share that if you'd like me to share my screen.
Yes, please.
All right, let me see if I can manage that for you. All right, let me know when you are able to see.
We can see it.
All right, excellent. So if I zoom in on the proposed plan, this area that is now hatched in a honeycomb extends down this temporary access road and then to the access ramp. We have also adjusted the planting schedule to match, so that honeycomb area now points out that this area is to be planted in 2 years upon completion of final restoration and grading. And it has the same plants called out in the same densities. So there isn't a change necessarily to any of the quantities. It's just we realized that the town would be trampling over their nice new plants that they just put in.
Thank you. Commissioners, any comments or questions? Members of the public, any comments or questions? Will, do we have everything we need to close this application?
Let me just ask Devin, because I'm embarrassed that I forget this conversation we just had. I know you had your predetermination, but did they finally give you your final determination?
Oh, for NHESP?
Yes.
Yes, and I apologize. That was included in the same packet I was just sharing. They gave us the
Awesome.
exact same letter that they did previously. So it has the same couple of conditions about just making sure that you don't work on the beach during time of year restrictions associated with birds, and that they would like to see a copy of the order of conditions sent to them and some completion reports upon final restoration.
Awesome. And
Yes.
I recall that now. Been an interesting week, but yes, we do have everything we need to close.
Thank you. Is there a motion to close?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Take RJ by a hair. By roll call vote, Mike Mazzarelli,
Aye.
RJ Turcott,
Aye.
Joe Plendowski,
Aye.
Tim Brain,
Aye.
Don Schaefer,
Aye.
Linda Williams.
Aye.
That thing over guy that carries unanimously.
Thank you very much for your time. Greatly appreciate it.
Thank you as well. Now is Mayflower Crescent LLC at 74 Monomoy Road, SC 483967, represented by Paul Santos. Good evening.
Good evening, thank you.
Thank you. For the record, Paul Santos with Nantucket Surveyors on behalf of the property owner and applicant, Mayflower Crescent LLC. This is a notice of intent filing for the redevelopment of an existing property located at 74 Monomoy Road. The property itself is located on the north side of Monomoy Road, essentially off of what you see there, a section of a Shimo Drive, which is a private driveway that services two residential properties that front on Nantucket Harbor. The property itself contains approximately 21,595 square feet, including a single-family dwelling, with surrounding land uses being all residential. The resource areas on the property include Nantucket Harbor, a coastal beach, coastal dune, land subject to coastal storm flowage, and a policy or multiple policy coastal banks. The application before you tonight is essentially a buffer zone filing for the policy coastal bank. No work is proposed within the regulated areas of the coastal dune, which is the most landward resource area located on the site, nor is any work proposed within the direct land subject to coastal storm flowage. So again, a buffer zone filing for the proposed activity. The application is for the proposed removal of the existing dwelling, construction of a new dwelling, construction of a shed, and reconfiguration of the site's hardscape features with associated landscaping, utility installation, grading within the buffer zones to the policy coastal banks that I had described. The existing site was developed and permitted between 2001 and 2018. In 2001, there was a former dwelling on the property that was demolished, and the dwelling that exists today was constructed. 2007, there were some modifications to that dwelling. And then in 2018, there were some site modifications with regard to a boardwalk and access to the harbor. The site is not located within a mapped NHESP priority or estimated habitat. And the application that you see before you tonight with regard to the dwelling itself was approved by the HDC in January of this year. Will, I've got and I'm noticing on the plan that you have up there, I've got a plan that's dated 1/29/26 that shows a shed. And I'm just wondering.
Yeah, it's down a little bit.
Okay, so that's the one that we want to, that's okay. Okay, so the site is a bit unique in the fact that, as I had said, it was permitted between 2001, 2007, and 2018. In 2014, the new and current flood zone mapping that we're using on island was adopted. At that time, the change in the flood zone location and elevation altered what was previously designated as policy coastal bank on this property. So the setbacks that you see here were not necessarily the setbacks that were on the site in the 2001 and 2007 applications. Now, nothing on the site has changed with regard to the landform, the topography, and so forth. Again, you're all familiar with the policy coastal bank. It's essentially a calculation or a line that's established based on the location of the flood zone and the slope of the particular land associated with it. So what we've done in this particular application is given the architects an outline, if you will, of what is already currently developed on the site. That would include structure, hardscape, driveway, and so forth. And they've created a proposal that stays within the limits of those particular parameters. The one exception to that is the shed. The shed is currently proposed in an area that was not structure, but it is in an area that was existing driveway, the existing driveway or a portion of the driveway for the property. So the application as proposed, essentially, we are required to meet the performance standards of the coastal bank. In this particular case, the policy coastal bank. And the performance standard states, all projects shall be restricted to activity as determined by the commission to have no adverse effect on bank height, bank stability, wildlife habitat, vegetation, wetland scenic views, or the use of the bank as a sediment source. So this particular bank, again, being a policy coastal bank, there is no sediment source associated with this area. This is a vegetated, in some cases wooded landform that does not provide a sediment source. The coastal bank is essentially an upland area in this particular case, and the wetland scenic views are not altered, as the structure that exists there now will be, a new structure will be constructed in essentially the same general location. We have also asked for waivers, obviously, between the no build, because now what was the 50-foot no build that essentially ran along the edge of the existing dwelling has now been pushed actually off the property onto an abutting property. And we're now basically within, the existing dwelling is within the 25-foot no disturb of the top of the policy coastal bank. We have submitted a waiver with sufficient information with regard to the request for that particular waiver. The site, we do have a DEP file number. We do and the application itself, as I said, had been approved by the HDC. If I could speak specifically about the shed, because it's a bit of an anomaly with regard to the way that we're permitting now with the Concom. The shed itself has not been approved, nor has been filed with the HDC. The reason being is because of the nature of the site itself, the location of the Shimo Drive location, it's necessary for that to be approved by the Zoning Board of Appeals. So that application has been made. So we have an application before the Zoning Board of Appeals that will be heard next Thursday for the placement of the shed. So with regard to that aspect, in the HDC and what the policy has been of the board, this is a case where we need a prior to step to the HDC in order to construct the shed. So I'm open to discuss how the board may feel about the shed component of this application, and whether there is any concern, number one, with the shed, which you may have to begin with, or whether there's any concern with the way that we are now seeking to permit that. Happy to answer any questions that the board may have.
Thank you, Paul. I'll go to commissioners in a second, but I can speak to the permitting section of the shed. So the language, if you read it carefully, it says applies for any permits that are necessary, but if there's a permit that you can't get without something else being received in the first place. So if you need the ZBA to sign off before the HCC, my opinion would be it's impossible to apply for something that is physically unable to attain. So go to the ZBA first and then come back, and we'll deal with it at that point. But
Okay, and that's great. So we are have made application to the ZBA, and we're on the agenda for next Thursday.
yeah, and I mean, there's I think several ways we could handle that. We could keep this open, or we could require just an amendment to be made with that HCC file. But let's go to commissioners' thoughts on questions or comments related to any parts of the project, including the shed. Yep, RJ, go ahead.
So I'm having a hard time with this one because this is a situation where we're talking about we're talking policy bank versus bank again. And I understand that the regulations have changed since this was, or at least began the permitting process. This is a sensitive area with a lot of topography, and we've in the past had long conversations about a structure being raised and rebuilt in place and the right to maintain it in place when it's this close to or practically on top of any resource area policy or not. So uh, I'm just not I'm just not sure about this one. Um, I'll listen to see if any other commissioners have comments, but this one, I don't know that it is in the spirit of the regulations to. It wasn't the intention of the regulations when this was defined as a coastal bank to let this kind of work and disturbance happen. It's one thing if the structure's already there and it needs to be maintained. And it's nice that you've contained it within the original footprint. But I'm just trying to wrap my head around this one. That's all I'll say for now.
Other commissioners? Mike?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Paul, just for my my own information, is it the hatched area is the structure shrinking at all, or is it just staying on the exact same footprint? As far as like the stair, like any surrounding stuff on it, stairs, decks, etc.
Well, the ground cover itself, if you will, of the building is essentially the same. But it's not a one for one, if you will. We basically took what was the developed portion of the site and then worked the structure. It's got a limitation more so of ground cover than anything else on this particular site. And we've stayed kind of within that area, and that's how we've developed it. It's not an exact replica of the structure that is there, nor is in the exact location. It's basically within the area that either contains retaining walls, hardscape, driveway, and so forth. And then that's kind of the area that we looked at when we gave them what we thought we could potentially, use to redevelop. The one thing that will not change, I mean, there's no intent to change any of the grading. Everything in that particular area is working within the site topography itself and fitting it into what's currently out there.
Okay. I mean, I hear RJ's concerns. I don't really have a problem with it. It seems like, I mean, I'll use the word no reasonable alternative. I know that there's other alternatives, but it's okay by me. Thank you.
Thank you. Other commissioners? John, go ahead.
Hey, Paul. So the old building's going away, correct?
That's correct.
And then the old foundation's going away and a new one will be put in place?
That is correct. It's completely new foundation. Yes.
Okay. Thanks.
Other commissioners? Tim?
Yeah, I was going to ask the same questions as John. So it's not it's a new structure and it's not a new structure, and it seems like the disturbance will be mostly from the activity of building it. But I don't know how you avoid that unless you bring it in by helicopter. So I'm inclined to say I don't have a problem with it.
Okay. Linda?
I agree with John and Mike. I know the property really well down at that end. And I don't see a reasonable alternative. I know the house that's there. So I don't really have an issue with it either. I think this is one of these unique situations.
Okay. So I want to talk a little bit about two things. The first is about the policy coastal bank. So, we've had some discussions about this recently. There's actually, it's one specific policy. It's the wetland program policy 92-1. We'll call it my birth present. It was It was written in March of 1992, the same year, same month that I was born. And yes, I'm aware that the buffer zones that were cast because of the coastal bank changes related to the flood zone elevation changes changed in 2014. But the existence of these coastal banks has existed since at least 1992. So, and I think I talked at length in other hearings, but I'll have to say it again here. Just because DEP sat down and made this policy about clearing up some language that was inconsistent about how we define coastal banks, doesn't mean any coastal bank is more or less significant than, well, some might be more or less significant, but that doesn't mean that any coastal bank is less entitled to protection under our regulations, the Wetlands Protection Act or the Nantucket local regulations. At the end of the day, every resource area is a policy resource area. They were designed, or they were defined by either the Wetlands Protection Act, which is a policy that has regulations enacted from it, or the Nantucket wetland regulations, which, there was a bylaw that allowed us to create regulations. I mean, at the end of the day, everything is just a definition. But we are beholden as a regulatory and jurisdictional body to uphold the definitions and the resource areas that are protected. I understand that we're talking about a waiver scenario here. In my opinion, the main new dwelling that's proposed could be waived under a no adverse impact, no reasonable alternative, because it is essentially going in the same location with the same footprint as the other dwelling. But I don't, I have an issue with the proposed shed. So we're talking about adding new structure in an area where there is not currently any structure. And I know it's farther away from the resource area than the house, but it's still within the no build zones. And I just think that in that case, there may be some alternatives or other design scenarios that this property owner can look at to meet the needs of that shed storage area. So I'd ask the applicant to look back into that. I know they're going to have to keep doing that anyways, given that it needs additional permitting, but I am not in support of the shed. Commissioners, any other additional comments? Members of the public, any comments or questions? Linda, go ahead.
If the shed was not part of this, do you have an issue with the house part?
No.
Okay. Because that sort of clarifies my thinking on this, with that shed should not be there. Because that's, and that's in addition to the house. So I tend to agree with you on the shed. Is the applicant willing to get rid of the shed?
Well, we can ask them in a second, but just to clarify my point, so, I understand what they're saying. The shed's going in an area that was previously landscaped or it looks like it had stone steps and maybe parking areas there, but it's additional structure in an area that structure shouldn't be put and isn't allowed. So go from there. But we do need to go to members of the public, and then we'll go to the applicant's representative to talk about that. Members of the public, any questions or comments? Okay. Paul, would you like to make any comments on the shed, or would you like to hold off for now?
No, I mean, I think I understand your position on the shed, and I think just from the comments I've heard, I think, Linda has, at least two members have expressed concern with the shed. If I feel that there's others that are similar, which I'm assuming there are, I think what I'd probably like to do is remove the shed, have the board proceed with the application with the express that the shed would be removed from the current request. I could still go to the ZBA with it next week if that, and then come back with maybe some, either an alternative or something, but that could be done, I would assume, as an amended order.
Yeah, we
Um,
could have a new plan showing the no shed. We have you on record
Yeah.
saying that
Yeah.
the shed is no longer part of the application. In the order, we would put no shed. And then if you wanted to do that shed as an amendment or a new notice in the future, that's always your prerogative.
So I think that's the way I would proceed, was that we would, for the purpose of this application before you tonight, we would remove the shed from the application.
Okay. We'll do, if we got a new updated plan of record from Paul showing no shed, otherwise, do we have everything we need to close?
We do, and I will draft that condition now for your viewing pleasure later.
Okay, thank you. Would you like to close?
Yes, please.
Is there a motion to close?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Joe. By roll call vote. Mike Miserelli,
Aye.
RJ Turcott,
Aye.
Joe Plandowski,
Aye.
Tim Brand,
Aye.
Don Schaefer,
Aye.
Linda Williams,
Aye.
Seth Engelberg, aye. That carries unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. So we will do CBM Pulpus Trust at 275 Pulpus Road, SE 48 3969, represented by Brian Madden. Good evening.
Good evening. Brian Madden from LEC Environmental Consultants representing the applicant. So the proposed project involves some site improvements to a residential lot. Resource areas on the subject parcel include bordering vegetated wetlands, two separate ones, one located within the north central portion of the site and then one within the southeasterly portion of the site. Here we go. So you can see in green, those are the wetland boundaries. Proposed site improvements involve construction of a new guest house. The guest house is outside the 100-foot buffer zone. That's within the bottom of the page there. Portions of the associated site work do extend into the 100 to the 75-foot buffer. There's also proposed some driveway modifications, updates, a new septic system that's being proposed for both structures, the existing main house and the new guest house. The septic work for the existing house includes some septic tanks in the back to the east of the existing house within the buffer zone to the BVW. That's shown on the plan, but the leach field is outside of the 100-foot buffer zone. The portion of the project that requires a waiver, there's an existing garage that sits on the far eastern portion of the site. Well, if you zoom over a little bit to the, I guess, move to the right. Yeah, there we go. So yeah, there's an existing garage, 435 square feet. That's proposed to be removed. Portion of it does occur within the 25-foot buffer zone, entirely within the 50-foot buffer zone, but that area is proposed to be loamed and seeded. And because some of that restoration work occurs within the 25-foot buffer, the waiver is requested. But that effectively summarizes the proposed work, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Linda, you have your hand raised?
I have to recuse from this. I just did the 4181L for this.
Apologies, I didn't catch it before, but Commissioner Williams is recused. Commissioners, any other questions or comments? Members of the public, questions or comments? Okay. Do we have everything we need to close?
Yes, we do, Seth.
Brian, would you like to close?
Yes, please.
Is there a motion to close?
So move.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. By roll call vote, Mike Mazrelli,
Aye.
RJ Turcott,
Aye.
Joe Planowski,
Aye.
Tim Braid,
Aye.
John Schaefer,
Aye.
Seth Engelberg, aye. That carries 6 sitting in the affirmative with Commissioner Williams recused. And we'll now move on to the town of Nantucket at Washington Street in front of 32, 33, 34, 36, 38, 40, and 42, SC 48, 39, 58. We need a motion to accept the withdrawal of this application.
So move, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Thank you, Linda and Mike for the second, but by roll call vote, Mike Mazrelli,
Aye.
RJ Turcott,
Aye.
Joe Planowski,
Aye.
Tim Braid,
Aye.
John Schaefer,
Aye.
Linda Williams,
Aye.
Seth Engelberg, aye. That carries unanimously. And now 39 Monomoy Trust at 39 Monomoy Road, SC 48, 39, 68, represented by Brian Madden.
I have to recuse from this one also, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, Commissioner Williams recused. Brian, go ahead again.
Okay, thank you. Brian Madden from LEC representing the applicants. This is a property that you're familiar with in the past. Received an order of conditions for some redevelopment work, which is, to my understanding, nearly wrapped up. But this application is specific to some invasive species and buffer zone restoration work. There's bordering vegetated wetland located just north of the site. And the site plan that's being pulled up shows the crosshatched buffer zone area that's proposed for invasive species management. There's some bush honeysuckle throughout that area, but also some native foxgrape entanglements, but also intermixed with some native species as well. Is that coming up on your end or is still in process, the plan?
No, and sorry, through you, Seth. Brian, I am having some sort of Zoom glitch and it's saying screen sharing is paused. It's just not working. Do you want to see if you can share the plan real quick?
Yeah, I can try that.
Thank you very much.
No problem. All right, everyone can see that?
Yep.
All right, great. So the green line is the BVW to the north, primarily just off-site. And this cross-hatched area with the double hatching is the buffer zone restoration area. It does extend into the 25-foot buffer zone, so we are requesting the waiver for that work activity. But we had submitted a invasive species management restoration plan, pretty standard, similar approvals based on that design. But just incorporating BMTs to manage the invasive species and protect the native species that are commingled with the invasive bush honeysuckle. We are proposing to selectively prune back some of the foxgrape just to promote the health of the native shrubs in the proposed plantings. So following the invasive species management, we are proposing to install native shrubs consisting of high bush blueberry, arrowwood, sweet pepper bush, bayberry, or similar Nantucket native shrubs. But I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Commissioners, questions or comments? Members of the public, questions or comments? Please approach the microphone. Introduce yourself with the record, for the record, with your name, any connection you may have to the project, and then please make a comment.
Deborah Nicholson. I'm at 26 Brewster Road, around the corner from this. I'm just concerned with this management, that it's not clear cutting, because my neighbors on one side clear cut their lot, took down all the cedars. The deer have no browse, except in my yard. Thank you very much. So I've got topiaries now. And if he's talking about taking down fox grapes, they eat those, they eat, I'm just concerned about them really stripping that land. And if they're planting these things, are they going to put deer fencing around them so the deer can't eat them either? So I just some curious questions about that. And the restoration activities, I'm assuming that's the new plantings?
Yes.
Okay. I don't know what's the matter with the plantings that are there now, but the native plantings that should be left. I don't think we always need to be cutting everything down.
Thank you. Brian, do you want to talk to those comments?
Yes, no, thank you for the comments. Yeah, the intent is definitely not to clear cut. It's a targeted surgical approach to deal with the invasive bush honeysuckle that's within the buffer zone. So to remove that primarily through mechanical means, but basically that may just involve flush cutting the shrubs at the base and then applying a hand application of herbicide to prevent any regrowth. But the intent is to protect the native vegetation. There's arrowwood, groundsel tree, sweet pepper bush, and some limited black cherry saplings within that area. That is all going to be retained. And the fox grape is also going to be retained, but it will be pruned back just so it doesn't overwhelm the native species and choke them out or choke out any of the proposed plantings. And certainly if it's amenable to the commission, we can install some standard deer fencing. But, this is not a large area. And I would say that because of the fact that the bush honeysuckle are commingled with the native species, it'd be more of a shrub targeted deer fencing approach as opposed to a wider encircled area. I hope that answered most of the questions there.
Thank you. Yeah, I don't think we have a need for fencing in this project, but we can go from there if there is a lot of pressure, and we can always decide to add that later.
I think Brian was talking like individual plants.
Yeah,
I don't know.
That's fine.
Just to
Yeah.
clarify,
If you're gonna talk, you need to approach the microphone. Okay. Well, it's not in the plan, so if the applicant needs that later, they can apply for a minor modification for that. Any other comments or questions? Okay. Will, do we have everything we need to close?
Yes, we do.
Brian, would you like to close?
Yes, please.
Is there a motion to close?
So moved.
Thank you, Mike and Joe. By roll call vote. Mike Mazzarelli,
Aye.
RJ Turcott,
Aye.
Joe Plendowski,
Aye.
Tim Brand,
Aye.
John Schaefer,
Aye.
Seth Engelberg, aye. That carries 6 in the affirmative, unanimous among those sitting, with Commissioner Williams recused.
Thanks so much.
Thank you, Brian. We have no amended orders of conditions today. We will move on to our public meeting. But in my authority as chair, we're not going to start with the order of conditions. John, do you have a question?
Didn't we forget one?
Yes, we did not forget it. We purposely are holding it until later
Oh.
because the representative's not here.
Okay, sorry.
So we're going to skip past order of conditions for a bit because it would be good to do them all at once while after we've closed the final hearing that you're referring to, John. So we're going to move on to the other parts and then come back. Request for determination of applicability. We have one with the updated procedures. We are not required to open these unless we desire. Commissioners, would anyone like to hear this RDA? Okay. Will, do we have everything we need to close the RDA?
We do. You got to give me 1 second to grab the number, but I have it available for the code for my recommendation.
Okay.
This was so fast I didn't have it open yet.
tell us what the recommendation is.
So this was an RDA to confirm resource area boundaries. I'm on the wrong computer. This was an RDA to confirm resource area boundaries. So we are, my recommendation was to confirm the resource area boundaries as accurate, which almost there. I don't want to pretend to remember the number, which is embarrassing because it's one digit. But it is a positive 2A. And the actual wording, boundary delineations of the resource areas described on the reference plans are confirmed as accurate.
Okay. Is there a motion to issue the request for determination of applicability with the positive 2A determination?
So move, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. By roll call vote, Mike Miserelli,
Aye.
RJ Turcott,
Aye.
Joe Planowski,
Aye.
Tim Brain,
Aye.
Don Schaefer,
Aye.
Linda Williams,
Aye.
Seth Engelberg, aye. That carries unanimously. We have no minor modifications. We have no certificates of compliance. We have no extension requests. So we'll move to other business. We have one set of minutes to approve, if that's correct. However, I don't think they were in the packet.
Oh,
Well, then
So
we can skip those for
we will
now.
hold the minutes off to the next meeting because
Okay.
they weren't in the packet for review. So we'll hold the 2/19/2026 meeting minutes until next meeting. Monitoring reports, we had none. Committee reports, Coastal Resiliency Advisory Committee. Tim, anything?
No, nothing new.
Okay. Community Preservation Committee,
Just a meeting coming up later this month.
Nantucket Planning Economic Development Commission,
Articles 74 and 75, which are for the makeup of the NP and EDC, came to an agreement for a compromise. So there is only going to be one article, number 74.
not happy.
all right. Harbor Plan Update Committee,
Still waiting.
Not again.
Not again.
all
Jeff
right.
needs to check it. Jeff needs to really check it to see what's happening up there at the
Yeah,
state.
hopefully it's soon because it's been waiting for
We
a
should have
while.
heard this already. Yeah.
Okay. The Sconset Beach Preservation Fund as our sand plan discussion. Will, do you want to give us an update?
We do have Meredith here, I believe.
Yeah, I'm aware, but since
But-
it's been a while, do you want to just?
We are, how do I summarize that? We're after we issued our permits, NAN 142,
Mhm.
and can't remember the number of the other one. But part of the conditions for those permits was to get a detailed sand plan for, I believe I don't want to mess up a detail here in the microphone, but for the next year or to make up what is missing. So we are looking to discuss what the plan looks like. We are in receipt of a memo from Meredith and SBPF. And Meredith is here tonight to discuss. I'm hoping you guys have had a chance to read that letter.
Yes, Commissioner Turcotte probably recused from this.
Correct. Thank you,
He's
Seth.
at the table. Okay, Meredith Moldenhauer from SPPF is here. If you'd like to give us an update, that would be great.
Okay, good evening, Meredith Moldenhauer, up on behalf of the Sconset Beach Preservation Fund. We had submitted back in May, on May 12th, the plan that discusses specifically condition 52 and 56. The plan had outlined that the sand would be distributed, the 105,465 cubic yards would be distributed over a period not to exceed 10 years. That would break down to 10,550 cubic yards per year. And that would then be allowed to be placed on the toe, on the template, and on the bluff. And any sand also that was placed prior to construction starting on the expanded project would also then contribute towards the overall requirement and potentially reduce the overall number of years that the sand would need to be distributed over the course of this plan.
Thank you. I think there's a bit of confusion about the purpose of the agenda item for tonight's hearing. So it's my understanding that the purpose of this agenda item is actually not to talk about what you've just referred to, Meredith, related to the projects that had been approved and are under appeal, but it's actually about a discussion we had in terms of the existing installation not being in compliance. And we talked about potentially amending an enforcement order to allow for additional placement of material through an enforcement process because SC 48 2824 is expired. So that was, in my understanding, what the purpose of tonight's discussion was. I also am aware of the fact that that may have been complicated by the recent activities on the site that have caused the geotubes to be punctured and deflate, but that was the original intention of this discussion agenda item, and that we'd been talking about this, I think, since November or December, since prior to the other actions that happened. So Will, do you want to go next? Yeah, I'll go to Will and then we'll go back to you.
Yeah, real quick. First of all, Seth, you're absolutely right. Thank you. And I have one comment that may be a matter of opinion, but I am not comfortable calling this memo a plan. I'm not seeing like what are the steps. I'm not sure. That could be just an opinion of mine, but I think this is more of like an intention letter.
Yeah, I think everyone would probably agree on that. The memo as read, it basically says that this Conservation Beach Preservation Fund is amenable to this moving forward with this enforcement process and getting a plan to place for placing additional material. Obviously that happened all before the latest developments, but that was why this was supposed to be on the agenda back in December. And then I know there was family issues and holidays and things, and then the other activities that happened on site. But Meredith, you can go ahead.
So two things. I mean, so I was also confused because the agenda item, you have agenda item F4, which just references SBPF sand plan discussion. Then you also have agenda item F5 under enforcement actions, SBPF road geotube. And so I'm here also to speak on the existing geotube project under the next line item in your published agenda. But I was under the impression that potentially F4 had to do with the extended approved order under what I previously referenced. So I have a separate discussion for the item 5, if that's what you'd like to move on to, but I was confused because it's on your agenda twice.
Thank you. Sorry about that. And I'm sorry for the confusion, and we should have been more clear about the agenda posting. And I appreciate you giving us the whole record related to the sand plan that is for the proposed expanded project, or not proposed, it was approved, but we are unable to talk about that while any of the appeals process is pending. So we are aware that it was submitted and that your group has done your due diligence in that and in fulfilling the order of conditions requirements. So there's nothing else you need to do, but we can neither discuss nor accept that while an appeal is ongoing. So I guess we'll talk only about the current project, and also will, if there's any guide rails that we need to have about the current project, given the active police investigation, that's fine too, but we can go from there.
So I would say that unless you have, or we have something specific that we'd like to amend on the enforcement order now, I'm not sure if you want to go too far into anything. This was, I know I said this last meeting, but for anybody that doesn't remember or doesn't know, Seth requested that we keep it under enforcements, basically to have the option of talking about it, because we don't know when the appeals or investigation or so on and so forth is going to conclude. I would say if you want to talk, if tonight is the night you'd like to talk about how we could do some sort of friendly enforcement order,
Yes.
that'd be appropriate. Otherwise, we might want to just stay.
No, I think we do need to talk about it, because here's the reality. The reality is that putting aside whatever was the cause of the geotube failure, or the puncture and collapse of some sections of the geotube, I'm not going to weigh in on what the cause was. Everybody has their own opinions and it's under investigation. Putting that aside, the project as permitted is out of compliance and has been out of compliance for a long time. And as we keep having more storms, and the effect of those storms keeps causing erosion of the beach and the bank, it is a big problem from a wetlands regulations perspective and an environmental science perspective to continue to have a structure that is unmitigated with sand. So we do need to move forward with an enforcement or amending the enforcement to allow sand to be placed. Now, I understand that there's a ongoing investigation, and it's not our job to interfere with that investigation, but presumably, maybe we can ask them, but presumably, the police have done their site visits, taken their photos, done everything they need to learn about the site, and we need to move beyond this at this point. It's kind of our job to have the tubes be ordered to be repaired or replaced, and to be appropriately and for the appropriate amount of mitigation sand to be delivered, so that we don't continuously have a unmitigated coastal engineering structure that's going to cause issues. That's our job. We can continue down this process as needed as details of an investigation come out. If it is found that some third-party actor was the cause of this, then we can amend our enforcement to make that actor be liable for this violation. But right now, or under the Wetlands Protection Act, violations work as follows. The people that can be held liable are the property owners, the permit holders, any contractors, and any individuals who did a violation. In this case, it's unclear what happened, but no matter what, the property owners and the permit holders are liable for the compliance. So if this investigation tells us something otherwise, then we can do our job, and then also SPPF can proceed with whatever legal channels they decide to proceed with. But at the end of the day, our job is still going to be the same. It's going to be repair of the tubes and delivery of the appropriate mitigation material. So Will, I'll let you go.
No, I was just gonna say that other than the emergency order or discussion of the permits, an enforcement order, the investigation doesn't matter at all. My only comment, and this probably goes without saying, but they have been told to cover them with sand before. And I think we certainly should do that again. And I feel that at some point somebody has to say that if they were covered in sand, this might not have been possible to happen. So I certainly think that we need to do something to allow them to put sand down, whatever that may be. I think it's an enforcement order unless somebody declares an emergency.
Yeah, I mean, we already
So-
have an enforcement order that allowed them to do the same thing last year. So it would just be amending that.
I think
that
a
thing,
new one.
or a new one is fine, but currently, there's no legal process for them to place sand. If they just went out today and put sand on the project, that would be a violation. So, it's up to us to compel action. And that's what I'm trying to do here. And I gave it a couple of meetings because I understand there's reports of vandalism and whatever else have you, but at the end of the day, our job is the same. So, Ms. Moldenhauer, go ahead.
Yeah, so I have a presentation. I'd like to present it to you. I will share my screen and walk through what we have done and where we are today. So this is obviously a conversation about the existing GO2 project, updates and requests. I'm going to give you a little bit of background. Obviously, we were here in December and we were before the Conservation Commission in February. We had a plan. We had asked to have a voluntary agreement to put sand on the tubes in early January, and had met with you, I believe it was January 18th, before the vandalism occurred. We had identified sand to put down on the tubes, and then obviously the vandalism occurred, and we have now had subsequent storms. So just to show, obviously, we documented images of the cuts and the vandalism that occurred at the property. We have documented and worked with our manufacturer to confirm that these were, in fact, cuts. Some of the cuts come and are adjacent to a 117-foot area of failure following those cuts, allowing the sand to come out of these sections. What have we been doing? We have been diligent in trying to respond to this. The drone footage first occurred on January 31st. Again, we had been before you on January 18th saying we were going to put sand on the project. Then, obviously this was a timely event where someone came out and vandalized the property after that. On February 2nd, we were informed of this. We reported it immediately to the Nantucket Police Department. On February 6th, we obviously publicly stated this to the record that the property had been damaged and that we were undergoing additional steps to address it. On February 10th, we had contractors come up from Florida and from the Cape and engineers to assess the condition of the project and to provide inspections. On February 21st, we had to conduct some pre-storm inspections and documentation. On February 22nd to the 23rd, everybody on the island is acutely aware of the winter storm Hernando that had gusts up to 80 miles an hour and obviously impacted the site. We did then a post-assessment of the condition of the property, and now we're here tonight to present before you. What we know about the damage, we have taken images, as you can see, directly after the initial discovery of the vandalism. There were areas that were 117 feet long that had been cut and slashed, that deflated and the sand came out. Initially, the manufacturer confirmed, obviously, that this was inconsistent with storm action, but and not consistent with wave action or material failure, and that there were direct images of cuts. And then subsequently, so a couple days later, we went back out and we confirmed that the upper tiers, the third tiers, collapsed from the pressure of not having the structural stability of the second tier that had been cut underneath it. And so we then took additional assessments of that condition. We noted that there are now areas that have both the third tier and the second tier that have ruptured and have cut very differently along the seams, which are on the third tier than the second tier vandalism instances. We went out, and you can kind of see the snow in this image, did pre-storm assessments of the existing project. We then did post-storm assessments of the existing project and then this is just showing the viewing station, which also incurred damage from the recent storm. But the most important thing is that this very, we've been very positive in trying to assess what's happening. Each of these instances obviously has shown that we have gotten our contractors out there. We're working with our manufacturer and our engineers. The manufacturing of the geotube must be specific in regards to the size and dimensions to repair and rebuild this area that was damaged by the vandalism. And so we had to both address that. We thought we were in a good position to address that before the storm, but then obviously with the storm, the situation has been ever evolving and have noticed obviously additional sloughing along the bluff. And so we are working with our contractor to understand the magnitude of the fact that we're most likely going to have to remove portions of the damaged second and third tier and then rebuild that work. And so we are here to kind of give you an update and to let you know that we conducted these post-storms assessments or working to obviously identify that emergency repair, that we had worked voluntarily with you on this, and that we obviously asked to come back before you in 2 weeks once we are able to pull more of this information together post the storm assessment. And so, we are obviously been very upset that someone would have taken it upon themselves to vandalize the project. We are working with the Nantucket Police Department, but we are here tonight to show that we are being responsive, but that, these things do take time, and we would ask obviously to come back before you in 2 weeks.
Thank you, Meredith. Just for the record, this commission, although we understand your opinion, is not going to indicate it was vandalism until a specific police investigation shows otherwise. We're just going to say it was a failure at this point. But I understand what you've submitted, and as well as the documentation from engineers and experts, but we're going to wait to see what the police have to say. In terms of next steps, it's gonna get complicated because, man, those pictures are rough. And yeah, go ahead.
Not to interrupt, but through you, Seth, I've been down quite a few times since the blizzard, and as soon as Tuesday, and it's the damage in and of itself was already kind of creating a dynamic and continuing damage scenario, and then 80-90 mile an hour winds sustained for the 2 days. It's pretty nasty. I have tons of pictures and videos if you guys want to see after, but there's several areas where the kind of the top layer of sand on the template has just kind of caved in directly back to the bank. So there's a lot of damage. The storm was obviously pretty strong.
Yeah, and we're probably moving towards the level where it could be considered almost a complete failure at this point, or at least over 50%. So here's the issue. When it was just geotubes that were in structurally sound condition, but they were uncovered, that's a relatively simple enforcement order. We just asked them to bring sand, deliver the sand in the same way it's done before. But now with seeing the presentation and everything that Willis said, I don't even know if the geotubes could be rebuilt in the area that they are now without getting into a whole list of other issues. How much is the beach eroded? Is work going to be required seaward of the mean high water? Do we have an updated plan of record? Do we have engineering engineered, designs for how construction would work? So I think that what we need to do is to request, or not request, is to issue an enforcement order requiring the Swansea Beach Preservation Fund to pull together that engineering package for us in order to see if it's even possible or feasible to do the rebuild at this point. That's my personal opinion. I'll go to commissioners in a second, but Meredith, go ahead.
I would just say, I mean, I don't respectfully believe that an enforcement order is needed. We are here tonight. We've shown you all this information, telling you that we are working with asking you to come back in 2 weeks with that information. And, at the end of the day, this is whether you want to say it or not. I mean, we have the police report. The police are investigating this as a vandalism. It's on the top of the report. We had a private investigator at Davis affirm it was vandalism. And, if we obviously want to come back, identify how we can repair it, we are indicating that we're listening to the commission and will provide information as well as, other information, but obviously need that additional time.
That's fine. And I mean, if you're already willing to provide that for us at the next meeting, that's great. But in order for the work to proceed anyways, there's only two mechanisms at this point. Well, there's three mechanisms at this point where it could proceed. One is extremely unlikely. That would be filing a new notice of intent. I doubt that's a way that anybody wants to proceed. The second would be this commission doing a enforcement order to allow that project to proceed. Given the size and scope of the project, we'll have to see what the engineered plans show. Given the size and scope of that project, that may not be within our best interest. And the third would be an emergency certification indicating that the project was necessary for a certified emergency, which is outside of our ability. We can have emergency projects proceed, but we don't certify emergencies. Other departments are the only people that certify emergencies. So if you're willing to get all that plan material together and bring it to us, we would appreciate it. But at the end of the day, those are the only three ways that the repair or rebuild could be built. Okay, commissioners, any comments or questions? Yes, Mike, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Seeing as how we cannot issue an emergency for alleged, I'll use the word alleged vandalism, and I think that's in the same vein where Meredith or SBPF is saying they're, I mean, at this point, I realize the damage is substantial, but giving them 2 weeks to come in with what they need to come in with is okay by me at this point. So I would lean for that. I don't see we can't do the emergency enforcement order, correct? We need that from
if an emergency
is declared
or is certified, it could be by the building commissioner, or who else? Will, do you want to let me the whole list?
Select board.
Oh
No,
man,
not
I
the
was gonna
select
say
board.
there's no way I know the whole list, but I know it could be the building commissioner, it could be the select board. There are state entities that could declare the emergency, and then I believe also the Board of Health,
Board of
but
Health.
they wouldn't touch this. It's usually when there's like an exposed septic system or something in there. So unless there was something health department related, like exposed sewer or yada yada, they wouldn't get involved.
Yeah, and I think MEMA and I think DEP also, but those probably aren't going to weigh in on this one. Okay, so if an emergency was certified then we could issue a emergency project, but we are not the ones who certify the emergencies. Other commissioners? Okay. Okay. So Meredith, thank you for being willing to be here tonight and to come back in 2 weeks with additional information. I just want to go over the types of information that we want so that everybody's clear. So we would like, obviously, an updated plan of record, engineered plans showing how the construction could proceed, you know, with the whole scope of removal and rebuilding and truck transport and all of that. So if that takes longer than 2 weeks, it's also fine with me, but that's the type of level of plan that we would like submitted to this commission.
So Chairman, if you're looking, I think what I was planning on coming back in 2 weeks was talking about more of the detail, understanding the timing. If you're looking for a plan of record, we would need to conduct a survey, which will most likely take more than 2 weeks. And so if that's, and we're working to ensure that, you know, we don't want this damage that occurred by somebody who cut the project to be something that obviously allows, you know, the road to have issues and to stop, you know, the long-term protection of the area. So we'd be happy to provide that. The question then is just, we probably would need more time. I'm just texting with someone to find out how long that might take. Do you have a meeting in 3 weeks, or you guys are every 2 weeks, right?
2 weeks. And I mean, even if you want to just come back in 2 weeks from now with the status update of how things are proceeding, I understand that it's probably not feasible to ask for these you know, surveys and engineered plans to be done in 2 weeks with no notice. I'm a realist. I'm not asking for that, but ultimately this is the type of information that we would need if we were going to actually be able to figure out if this was something that could be permitted in some way or could be built in some way.
And we understand that. And I just want to be transparent on that issue. So we're happy to come back in 2 weeks for an update.
Okay, thank you. Do you have any questions for us at this time? Any commissioners have any other questions or comments related to this process? Okay, we'll move on to 34A Grove Lane we went to enforcement actions. We'll move on to 34A Grove Lane.
And we really don't have anything for that tonight because we have them scheduled to come in on the 19th. Paul's actually right back there.
Okay.
That was a will mistake. We'll just be honest about it.
That's fine. Is there any new and emerging enforcements to come before your desk?
Nothing at the moment.
Okay. Commissioners' comments? Any staff reports?
I'm going to say, actually, I'll give you one super quick thing because I might forget at the end, but I am not here tomorrow or Monday, little family emergency. So you might not see signature pages until Wednesday, unless I can convince Jeff to whip them up.
Okay.
How about David Haynes?
Yes.
And I was going to say,
we're getting
cool.
to that. We're aware. So we're in a public meeting. We need to reopen the public hearing to hear the notice of intent for Harborview LLC at 94 Hulbert Avenue, SE 48 3957, represented by David Haynes. David, good evening.
Good evening. Thank you very much. And I'm very happy that Seth didn't run a super efficient meeting and get done. I just got out of one that wasn't as super efficient, trying to figure out how to make the legislature rewrite their legislation. Anyway, thank you again. And thank you all for coming out to the site visit in the rain. I appreciate that. Since the last hearing, we have done two things. We've had the site visit, but we've also revised the plan. And in that revised plan, we have expanded the vegetated buffer area and also provided shrubs in the buffer and on the coastal bank, along with the American beach grass. As you saw during the site visit and is shown on the plan, this is a very restricted lot. The whole northern section is got a deed restriction on it for height and blocking the view that cannot be intruded upon. And the coastal bank along Hulbert and the one along Pagovat do come onto the property and include most of the house. When this was originally filed for, the flood maps were different and the datum out there was different, and this was not an issue. And the only resource area out there was the coastal dune on the other side of Hulbert. And this was done in compliance with the regulations at the time. Since the flood zone was redrawn and the datum was changed, it brought the whole flood zone up here, and it made the two slopes, the one along Pagovat and the one along Hulbert, into coastal banks. Again, they are a coastal bank by policy in that the slope and the flood zone meet, and they are significant for flood storage. And actually, the one along Hulbert has some wildlife value that we feel that we're going to improve with the expanded vegetated buffer along that area. So we are asking for work within 50. We are asking for a waiver, either one of two waivers. One will not impact, and the other is there's no other reasonable alternative. And the other would be a overall net benefit. By replanting the coastal bank on Pagovat, we are giving back some value, wildlife, aesthetics, or wetland scenic views, excuse me. And we are increasing the biodiversity in that area. The wetland buffer along the top of the bank on Hulbert does provide a buffer to increase the wildlife habitat value. Since we're not altering the vegetation, we're not altering the slope of the soils in either one of the areas. Both areas will continue to provide flood storage and contain floodwaters. The fact that the entire property is almost there's a little portion outside of 50, nothing really outside of 75 feet. There is no other alternative to do this. The one addition, the conversion of the existing porch into living space, is over the existing structure, except for a 2-foot, 21 square foot extension of it away from the coastal bank. And the other addition is approximately 250 square feet of alteration over existing lawn and driveway. So all the structural work is happening farther away from the resource area than what the existing structures are, and over already disturbed area. The increased planting out there, and the planting of the resource area, providing it some of the function back that it's lacking, will be a net benefit. We feel it will be a net benefit. So with that, I'd like to open it up to any questions you have or comments and proceed from there.
Thank you. Commissioners, any questions or comments?
I had one.
John, go ahead.
Yeah, didn't we have some specific questions from last meeting? I think particularly about that little extension of the porch was one, and maybe an outdoor shower, if I remember right. Were those addressed at all?
We, through the chair, we haven't made any changes. It was shown at the site visit, architecturally why that 2-foot extension was incorporated into the plan. It meets up with the line of the house, keeps the roof lines working. I believe Steve Rothke is in the room and can address any kind of architectural issues.
Okay, thanks.
We didn't discuss we pointed out the shower. We did not discuss it. We can do that now if you would like.
I'm sorry, I didn't make the site visit, so I was just checking up on that. Thank you, David.
Thank you.
Mike?
Mr. Chairman, just for John's information, and again, Steve is here, but the porch side was actually is all existing, so they were just building up on existing framework of the porch. I don't know if that answers your question, John, or there's something else.
Yeah, that's not 100% true. There is a 2-foot extension that has been noted to match with the roof pitch, which architecturally is fine, but we do need to do our due diligence to make sure that that would be permitted through this commission. Other commissioners, and then I'll go to you after. Yep. RJ.
Thank you, Chair. So this one, again, we have East Coastal Banks. This was a pre-existing property, and I don't know.
Somebody turn their mic on.
So we have a situation with a pre-existing structure where some of the regulations in buffer zone, the setbacks have changed. This one, to me, after visiting the site and looking at it, there's less of a reasonable alternative to this, and I'm more inclined to, I'm more okay with this than I was prior to the site visit than, say, a pre-existing structure where we allow them to raise it and then rebuild it in place. This is a lot less disturbance. It's of that 2-foot overhang you just referenced for the architectural lines is unfortunate, but I understand, and I don't think it's going to have a measurable impact in the resource area. So I think after the site visit, I'm okay with this one. Thank you.
Thank you. Other commissioners?
Site visit was good.
Thank you, Joe. John, is your hand still raised or no? Okay. All right. Steve, would you like to make a comment? Please introduce yourself with the record with your connection to the project, and then make your piece.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Steve Rothke for the applicant. I just wanted to make myself available to answer any questions about the sort of nuts and bolts of the architecture, but I would leave the rest of the review and comments to you all and to David. So if I can help in any way, clarify, I'm happy to do so.
Thank you.
I guess I would just say on that 2 feet that it does help organize the sort of architectural sort of manifestation of this project. It's also a kind of a key component to the expansion that we're trying to achieve in that area for this growing family. So it's sort of consistent with what the whole purpose of the project is about. Thank you.
Nick. So my points get to, I guess, what is the definition of reasonable? So, the waiver, well, there's 3 waivers that are being applied for. I think 2 of them are really not appropriate here. I think the only one that is appropriate is A, which is the reasonable alternatives, no reasonable conditions or alternatives, and no adverse impacts. So, I mean, personally, I do have some concerns about the 2-foot extension to the deck, because to me, reducing that to have it within the existing area seems like a perfectly reasonable alternative. I understand that maybe the HTC won't view it that way, and I understand that maybe the family won't view it that way, but that would preserve the project purpose in that area. Similarly, the other addition, which is proposed in the area that there's currently no structure. You're proposing to remove an outdoor shower, make a new addition, and then propose an additional outdoor shower. It would seem like a perfectly reasonable alternative to me to reduce the size of the addition and have the outdoor shower be retained either in the same location or within the proposed addition area. That seems like a no-brainer one to me. I understand again that maybe because of the architecturals or the family's interests, they don't want that. But that is not our job here. Our job is to view the proposed project. The proposed project is a residential structural expansion, and to determine if an alternative would fulfill the same purpose from a wetlands regulations environmental point of view. To me, those two minor changes would fulfill the exact same project purpose. I understand that clients' representatives are paid to represent their clients and are here to try to work on their interests, but I just don't see those as being things that I could ever look past as saying no reasonable alternatives exist. For me, it seems perfectly reasonable. Also, I would say the site visit was illustrative. It was good to see the areas of the coastal banks. And yes, I will admit that the coastal banks maybe might not be as contributing as other banks in the area. But looking down that road, the dune and the ocean's right there. There's clearly the ability for floodwaters to come along this way. There's clearly the ability for these coastal banks to act as a flood control barrier, an erosion prevention barrier. So, it's not like there are resource areas that have zero of the protected interests. They might not have every protected interest, but they have some. And we should still be endeavoring to protect those as the regulations describe. I think that overall, I understand the point of the project, but it seems to me that reducing the structural area or having a redesign of the structural area would be a reasonable alternative to allow the project to proceed. John, go ahead.
I gonna have to disagree. I think I'm gonna side with RJ here that I don't think the impact is gonna be, any different one way or the other. So I don't know. It's our job to tell them to build a different house because it's a different alternative. I mean, they have what they have for whatever reasons they're trying to accomplish, and if it doesn't impact the resource area in any significant way, I don't see what the difference would be for another alternative. So I'm okay with it. That's my 2 cents. Thanks.
Thank you. And I respect your disagreement, but I'm going to disagree with you because of what the words in the waiver say. So it's a two-part waiver. We have the applicant, not us actually, it's the burden of proof is on the applicant, is to prove that there's no adverse impacts, which I think that part has been proved. I don't think any of the members of this commission, including myself, have an issue with that part of the waiver requests. And in addition to that, they have to prove that there are no reasonable conditions that could be applied in order of conditions or alternatives to the project design that could be made to additionally reduce or mitigate the adverse impacts. So, I think I've said the same thing a bunch of times, but the waiver exists in the regulations. I'm not going to read the whole thing out, but that's how I feel on this one. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So I realize it is, after all that's probably not as popular of an opinion, but most of the house already exists in the 25, the 50, and the 75. I mean, we're picking up some substantial benefit from the coastal bank and the planting that they're doing. I guess it's up to David and Steve if they want to go back and tweak the plan a little bit, but I'm okay with it as is for those reasons. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Other commissioners? Linda, go ahead.
I agree with that. I don't have much more to say.
Okay, other commissioners? Thank you, Joe. Any questions or comment, or Tim, go ahead.
Yeah. I unfortunately wasn't at the site visit, so I'm a little in the dark on it, but I kind of agree with everybody else on this.
Thank you, Tim. Other commissioners? Questions or comments from members of the public? Or Linda, go ahead.
I appreciate your argument, Seth. I just want to state that for the record that I appreciate it because I learn something every time you say these things. But I do appreciate your sentiments here.
And again, I mean, I preface this at the beginning, but it really depends on what your personal definition of the word reasonable is. If you think the types of things that I'm discussing are not reasonable, then that's fine. So it's up to, the reason why we have a 7-member commission is because everybody has their own opinion. So it's up to you all to decide, but I think I've made my point. So no questions or comments from members of the public. Okay. Will, do we have everything we need to close?
Indeed, we do.
Thank you. Would you like to close, David?
Yes, please.
Thank you. Is there a motion to close?
So move, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Is there a second? Appreciate it. By roll call vote. Mike Miserelli,
Aye.
Artie Turcott,
Aye.
Jeff Landowski,
Aye.
Tim Brain,
Aye.
John Schaefer,
Aye.
Linda Williams,
Aye.
Seth Engelberg, aye. That carries unanimously. And now we'll head back to our public meeting. And we'll
Thank
do
you very
our-
much.
Thank you as well. And we'll do our orders of conditions, of which we have the following. We'll start with under the no waiver required section 51 WWLC at 53 Winoma Way, SC 483970. Yeah, you gotta share it to the Zoom too.
Okay. So 53 Winoma Way. This order permits the proposed construction of a set of beach stairs at 53 Winoma Way within a coastal bank. Waiver is not required for this project as proposed. No NHESP. And then we have our conditions. Is the screen share not working? Is it
It's
just
not
black?
working. no.
It's not.
It is. I swear it's not me.
I think it's the standard conditions, John, 18 and 19.
Okay.
The fill, and then the lighting is 20, so that's what we have on
Yep.
there.
And I will
Okay.
say too, John, I did send these out earlier.
I know it's not me.
Huh?
I know it's not me this time.
Yeah.
No,
Okay.
it's I'm gonna blame the computer. This is one thing I know. I know I'm doing it right.
So
I believe
Commissioner,
you.
questions or comments or additions related to that? If not, is there a motion to approve the order of conditions?
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
both. Mike, by roll call vote, Mike Miserelli,
Aye.
Artie Turcott,
Aye.
Linda Williams,
Aye.
Joe Planowski,
Aye.
Tim Brain,
Aye.
John Schaefer,
Aye.
Seth Engelberg, aye. That carries unanimously. And the next is Harborview LLC at 94 Hulbert Avenue, SC 483957. It's the one we just talked about. And Will can get that up on the screen. An attempt to share, but we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, let's see. I just closed every application that is not necessary to see if maybe somebody stole all the RAM out of this computer. That stuff's pretty valuable these days.
That's fine. In that
All
case,
right.
you're just gonna have to read it out. So for the record.
All right, I will read this. Computer's struggling in general. Okay, 94 Hulbert Ave. We do have the revision date for the new plan. This order permits the proposed enclosure of an existing porch, construction of an addition, removal of an outdoor shower, installation of a new outdoor shower, and planting of American beach grass for structure mitigation at 94 Hulbert Ave within the buffer zone to Coastal Beach and Coastal Bank. A waiver is required for this project as proposed. No NHESP. 18 and 19 are two standard conditions. 20, no fertilizer or other agricultural chemicals are allowed within commission jurisdiction. 21, all plantings within commission jurisdiction shall be native species with no cultivars allowed. 22, the applicant shall present a yearly report, including photographs demonstrating the condition and survivorship of the replanted area and the existing vegetated areas. Should the commission determine that additional plantings are necessary, they will be authorized based on this discussion.
Hello.
And we got more. 23, should the project area show less than 50% regrowth of native species within the first 2 years and 6 months of the permit, the applicant shall file a new notice or amendment for supplementing the area with native plantings and or seedings. 24, any invasive species found in these areas with fill shall be removed and appropriately disposed of off property. 25, monitoring report, including photographs of the treatment area, pre and post treatment, shall be submitted to commission staff on an annual basis for review. These got in.
Take that out.
These don't exist. Delete 24 and 25 that were just read, and now we're going to have new 24 and 25, which are 24. All reports are required annually by the anniversary of this order's issuance until a certificate of compliance is issued or this order expires. And then 25, all lighting shall be in compliance with Chapter 102 of the Nantucket Town Code. And then right here in our waiver, based on discussion, I have the option to pop in the no reasonable alternative.
Yeah, so let's talk about the waivers that were requested and the waivers that this commission would like to grant. So A is the no reasonable alternatives, no adverse impacts. C is a long-term net benefit. We could apply either, both, or none. So commissioners, which would you like to use?
I'd be
Archie?
more comfortable with A than C,
Okay.
personally.
Anyone else? A.
A.
A. Okay. Take C out.
I just need to, what did I do here? I added it like in two places by mistake. This is what I get for doing things and trying to listen at the same time.
Any other comments, questions, or additions? Okay. Is there a motion to approve the order of conditions as amended?
So move, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Which one is this one again? Just double checking my list.
94 Hulbert.
Oh, okay. I had that with an arrow. I just want to make sure.
Motion is made and seconded by roll call vote. Mike Miserelli,
Aye.
RJ Turcott,
Aye.
Joe Planowski,
Aye.
Tim Brain,
Aye.
John Schaefer,
Aye.
Linda Williams,
Aye.
Seth Engelberg opposed. That carries 6 in the affirmative with 1 opposed. And next is Mayflower Crescent LLC at 74 Monomoy Road, SC 483967. And we'll get that one up on the screen too.
I will, I promise. It's important for me to mark down, you know, things like Seth is opposed, and we got to keep it all under
Yep,
control
that's
here. All
fine.
right. So next we are on 74 Monomoy, correct?
Yes.
All right. So a well-oiled machine over here. It might not look like it, but all right. 74 Monomoy. This order permits the proposed redevelopment of the existing dwelling and property, including removal of a shed, reconfiguration of hardscape features, and associated landscaping and utility installation within buffer zone to coastal banks. A waiver is required for this project as proposed. No NHESP. I did pop in an additional finding that says this order does not permit construction of the shed proposed in the site plan dated 1/29/26. Condition 1819, and then condition 20 for no fertilizer or other agricultural chemicals to be allowed within commission jurisdiction. 21, all plantings within commission jurisdiction shall be native species with no cultivars allowed. 22, all lighting shall be in compliance with chapter 102 of the Nantucket Town Code. 23, and we can reword this if anybody wants to. 23, the applicant shall submit an updated plan to staff with the proposed shed removed.
That's fine.
And then,
take out construction of the shed in the waiver.
oh, yeah. Oh, it's in, yeah, sorry. I thought you meant the
No.
summary. All right, so waivers are required to 390-10B5 to allow removal of the existing dwelling, landscaping, and hardscaping, just putting a comma.
We need removal of the existing dwelling, construction of a new dwelling.
Yeah.
And is that in the permit overview too?
Yeah, let me see. I mean, I used a loose term that we can change, but I said sort of permits the proposed redevelopment of the existing dwelling and property, but we can
Raise and rebuild. Yeah.
let
It's
me
not really redevelopment.
let me finish this first. That's a matter of opinion. You're probably right though. Raise and rebuild more accurate, but hold on. Removal of the existing. Dwelling.
I think redevelopment, if it's like they were reusing the same foundation or the same footprint or the same, you know, like timbers or whatever, but if they're completely taking everything out and putting a new one, it's new construction.
I think it's such a broad term that you could clear and level an entire property and then put a different structure on it and call it redevelopment. Because you undeveloped it and then developed it. I don't know. Anyway, I
Of the
think
property, yeah, but
this
not
is
of
a
the
more
house.
raise and rebuild is a more appropriate term. Of the existing dwelling in I am gonna put and redevelopment of the property. Does that make
Yeah,
sense?
it's
I swear I'm
redevelopment.
not just trying to use
No,
the word.
it's a redevelopment of the property, but not of the dwelling, is what I'm trying to say.
All right. This order permits the proposed raise and rebuild of the existing dwelling and redevelopment of the property, including removal of a shed, reconfiguration of hardscape features and associated landscaping and utility installation within buffer zone to coastal banks. Does that,
Yeah, that's good.
I gotta make sure. All right, and did I get rid of? Okay, so we made the edit in the waiver to allow removal of the existing dwelling, construction of a new dwelling, landscaping and hardscaping within the 25, 50, and 75 buffer to coastal bank. The commission finds this project as proposed will not result in adverse impacts to the resource area, and there are no reasonable alternatives. Therefore, the commission grants a waiver under 393H3A of the Nantucket Wetlands Regulations.
Okay. Commissioners, comments, questions, or additions?
Oh, hold on. Don't approve it yet.
The wrong address.
Yeah, only on the footnote, but because of that, let me check the DEP number. This is 67.
Yep.
All right, we're good up there. Cool. It was just the footer, but that's it.
Okay. Is there a motion to approve as amended?
So move, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Is
Second.
there a second. Thank you. By roll call vote, Mike Miserelli,
Aye.
Arthur Turcott,
Opposed.
Joe Planowski,
Aye.
Tim Brain,
Aye.
John Schaefer,
Aye.
Linda Williams,
Aye.
Seth Engelberg, aye. That carries 6 in the affirmative with 1 opposed. And now we'll move on to Town of Nantucket, 130 Tom Nevers Road, SE 48 3962.
Wait a second. No, look, I've got
Yeah, it's
I've got
it's an
one-
emergency. Yeah.
I've got 130.
Yeah, this is
Yeah, guys, I have a problem somehow. 130 Tom Nevers seems to be actually the order for 10 New Whale Street.
that's fine. We can just do it the next meeting.
Yeah, we are
It's
gonna.
the work's already done. It's through the emergency. We'll just
I just want to say for Devin's benefit, Devin, if you are still here,
she's not here.
she's not here. All right. Well, if anybody from the Tom Nevers thing, but I will tell you guys the work is completed and we'll vote on this next meeting.
Yeah, it's fine.
And I have an order for it. I don't know
We'll-
what happened.
We'll do it next meeting. It's fine.
Nope.
No, the next meeting is 2 weeks. We have 3
Yep.
weeks. So
All set. They
and
would
honestly,
grant us
all
an
the work
extension.
has been done because of the emergency
Yeah.
already. So it's not
Yeah.
super pressing.
Yeah, I actually, and this it's probably not the time to whatever, but I had a really interesting site visit with them. They shut down the work. I got to walk through the whole site. It's pretty cool. I'm a couple more big storms and there'll be more debris, but you should go check it out now. Well, it's beautiful.
Needless to say,
All right, so moving on. So we'll do that at the March 19th. Moving on to the CBM Pulpus Trust, 275 Pulpus Road, SC 48 39 69. Linda, you're recused from this, right?
yep, this one and the 39 Monomoy.
Okay. Can get this one on the screen for us. And we can go from there. Hopefully it's good.
Hopefully it's not some mystery file. No, looks right. All right. 275 Pulpus Road. Excuse me, I've got a yawn. This order permits the proposed driveway reconfiguration, septic upgrade, installation of a well, demolition of a garage, and restoration of disturbed areas at 275 Pulpus Road within buffer zone to a bordering vegetated wetland. Waiver is required for this project as proposed. We had NHESP, 1819, and then starting at 20, no fertilizer or other agricultural chemicals are allowed within commission jurisdiction. 21, all plantings within commission jurisdiction shall be native species with no cultivars allowed. 22, should the project area show them less than 50% regrowth of native species within the first 2 years and 6 months of the permit, the applicant shall file a new notice or amendment for supplementing the area with native plantings and or seedings. 23, a monitoring report, including photographs of the replanted area, pre and post treatment, shall be submitted to commission staff on a yearly basis. 24, all reports are required annually by the anniversary of this order's issuance until a certificate of compliance is issued or this order expires. 25, all lighting shall be in compliance with Chapter 102 of the Nantucket Town Code. I think I meant to change treatment to planting for this one. Brian's other filing was the invasive
Yeah,
management.
that's fine. Okay, and the waiver.
And the
long-term
waiver.
net benefit.
Yep. The waiver was just, waivers are required to 390-18B1 to apply to allow the replanting following demolition of the structure within the 25-foot buffer zone. The commission finds this project as proposed will result in a net benefit to the resource areas. We're adding the word long-term. Somehow we'll miss that. Long-term net benefit to the resource area through removal of structural elements and replanting of the disturbed areas. Therefore, the commission grants a waiver under 393H3C.
Okay, any comments, questions, or additions? Is there a motion to approve the order as amended?
So moved.
Thank you. Is there a second? Thank you both. By roll call vote, Mike Mazzarelli.
Aye.
Artie Turcott.
Aye.
Joe Plandowski.
Aye.
Tim Braden.
Aye.
John Schaefer.
Aye.
Seth Engelberg, aye. That carries 6 in the affirmative, which is all of us sitting with Commissioner Williams recused. And the last one is 39 Monomoy Trust at 39 Monomoy Road, SC 48 3968. Also with Commissioner Williams recused. And we'll get that one on the screen.
Noticed a typo already. Hold on. Yeah, I just want to check. Yep. All right. 39 Monomoy Road. This order permits the proposed invasive species management and restoration activities at 39 Monomoy Road within buffer zone to a bordering vegetated wetland. Waiver required. No NHESP. Conditions 18 and 19. Condition 20. I wrote this one kind of funny because you'll see. No fertilizer or other agricultural chemicals are allowed within commission jurisdiction, with the exception of herbicide to be applied for management of invasive species as outlined and conditioned in this order of conditions, as outlined in.
Okay.
So I just saying, change that as outlined in the notice of intent and conditioned in this order of conditions, which sounds redundant. I could just say order, right?
That's fine.
All right, we'll leave that. And then 21, all plantings within commission jurisdiction shall be native species with no cultivars allowed. 22, should the project area show less than 50% regrowth of native species within the first 2 years and 6 months of the permit, the applicant shall file a new notice or amendment for supplementing the area with native plantings and or seedings. 23, a monitoring report, including photographs of the replanted area pre and post treatment, shall be submitted to commission staff on a yearly basis. 24, this order permits the use of glyphosate or equal for use as shown on the label of the specific herbicide. 25, the quantity and specific type of herbicide used will be reported in writing to the commission on an annual basis. Any herbicide shall be applied by a licensed applicator. 26, should the project area show less than 50% regrowth of native species within it. This is on here twice, isn't it? That's on there twice. We just really like that condition. You got a question? I can hold the last two if you want.
Go ahead.
All right. 26 is just that all reports are required
I meant
annually.
RJ to go ahead, but sorry.
Oh, I thought RJ said go ahead.
No, I see.
He was turned the other way.
Sorry, RJ, what would you like to say?
Well, this might be far at the end, but is there a way for us to say don't put deer fencing up? Is there to be a butter?
Sure. I mean, we could just say that in the no deer fencing is permitted by this
Yeah.
order.
Yeah, just to cover that.
Okay,
She was upset about it.
That's easily done. We'll add it. I'll add it at
go
the end.
ahead.
So 26 is just that all our reports are required annually by the anniversary of this order's issuance until a COC is issued or this order expires. 27, all lighting in compliance with 102. We're gonna add in the deer fence.
Yeah, I mean, if they want to do that later, they can always apply.
Yeah.
for it. Yeah, but we can go back if you are missing something. Okay, that's fine.
We'll just say deer fencing, weather. Does this make any sense? Deer fencing, whether on individual plants or areas of planting, is not permitted. That this doesn't sound right.
I would just say no
Yeah,
deer fencing in
it
any
is not
type or
permitted by this
installation.
order.
Any type of installation.
How's that? Deer fencing is not permitted by this
There
order.
you go.
All right. Wait. Our waivers are required to 390-18B1 to allow invasive species management and restoration activities within the 25-foot buffer. The commission finds this project as proposed will result in a net benefit to the resource areas through buffer zone restoration and management of invasive species. Therefore, the commission grants a waiver under 393H3C of the Nantucket Wetlands Regulations.
Yeah. My other thing is for a while we were just granting these under the automatic invasive species waiver that already exists, that we don't even have to do it, but
Yeah,
it doesn't matter to me.
I had a question about that.
Mm.
I was gonna do that, and then I felt like, although I think we've issued it for projects that were also for planting, but it just seemed like there was the planting and invasives proposed together. I thought it was probably appropriate to use this waiver, but I think the other one works
Let's
just
see
fine
what
too.
it says.
Either way, I
Yeah,
think this
that's
is
fine.
appropriate if
That's
we don't
fine.
want to,
We'll just use it in this case. Yeah.
if we don't want to hang out any longer.
Yeah. I'm just saying, I think, well, this is probably a question for regulation updates, but I think some of these projects don't even need to come in the waiver required section if they're meeting that standard, but we can discuss that later.
Right. Did anybody have any other questions? I know I can't share
Yeah.
these.
Any comments, questions, or additions? Okay. Is there a motion to approve the order as amended?
So move, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Is there a second? Second. All right, by roll call vote, Mike Misrelli,
Aye.
RJ Turcott,
Hi.
Joe Plandowski,
Aye.
Tim Brain,
Aye.
John Schaefer,
Aye.
Seth Engelberg, aye. That carries unanimously among those sitting, which is six members, with Commissioner Williams recused. So, I've had a request to go back to Commissioner's comment. So RJ, what is your comment?
Thank you, Chair. No, it's not glyphosate related, although that will be coming. But 2 select board meetings back, if you guys happen to, for some reason, be watching, there is a debate that is, I think, going to continue about cattle grades. And I've been asked 3 separate times now, and I don't know how often it's going to come up for us, but I am getting asked. I don't think it's helpful for deer, but they can just jump over it, but it is coming up. Will has his hand up.
I have feelings about cattle grates that I've had for kind of a long time, and I don't know if they're effective for deer or not. And I want to make it clear that this is not about any specific property that's been talked about recently. I'll even go so far as to say that I've seen this only in other places that I've been, but I have rescued many a turtle from those damn things, and I don't really care about any of the other things that are being said about them at HTC and whatever, but I think for our purview, I don't even know if those things are shown on plans when we get plans, if they're going to be installed. And I think
Yeah.
I think that they are incredibly relevant to our regulations when they're in our jurisdiction. That's
Yeah.
I want to.
We had at least one filing that I distinctly remember that did show that on a plan, but
With Ashley a long time ago.
it was for a famous Nantucket author, let's just say. But we should ensure that if those things are proposed, that they are on the plan of record, because it would be considered something that would be of concern for wildlife function.
It can be pretty sad.
Yeah,
So I guess that is it do we consider it a structure?
I don't think it would be considered a structure.
I don't think
No, but I think, yeah, I don't think it's considered a structure, but
And
do
they would have to be in our jurisdiction
Yeah.
yeah.
to deal with it.
But I think there's I mean, there's pretty strong argument, I think, to be made for within our jurisdiction that they're an issue for the movement of wildlife. And,
Yes, yeah.
I mean, that's their design too. They're an issue for the movement of deer,
Is
but
the point, yeah.
I'm thinking about the bycatch, if you will. And there's typically not a way for things to get out, and often there's not a way for you to get in. So it's kind of rough.
Anyways, all right, other commissioners' comments? All right, we did this meeting in a very lopsided order, but we have completed all the items on the agenda.
Motion to adjourn.
Thank you. We need a second. Thank you. By roll call vote, Mike Miserelli,
Aye.
Archie Turcott,
Aye.
Joe Plandowski,
Aye.
Tim Brain,
Aye.
John Schaefer,
Aye.
Linda Williams,
Aye.
Seth Ingleberg, aye. That carries unanimously. This meeting is adjourned. Thank you all.
Good night, guys.
Have a good night.
Have a good night, Seth. Well done with a non-traditional, perfectly smooth. I